Good afternoon. My name is Jimmy Dancy. I am the proud mayor of this most wonderful town of Rutherford. Thank all of you, thank all of you for being here today and helping us to celebrate this most rewarding experience in this park as we officially open Kiwanis Park. But thank you again for being here. It's been a journey that we've been taking for a pretty long time now, but you can see the fruits of our work and the people that have been a part of this. And that's the reason you're invited here today, is many of you helped us to get here today. And we're going to recognize a lot of people today. Now, one of the public speaking guidelines is you never in public thank people by their names, because it is probably going to happen. You're going to miss somebody. They're going to be upset because we didn't mention their names. But I assure you, if we did not mention you by name, it's not because we did it on purpose. But we have so many people to thank that Doug and I agree that this is important enough that we do recognize some people and let you know how much we appreciate what you have done for this park and for the town that we're part of. First of all, I want to recognize some people. And you do not have to applaud. We'll move along this pretty quick. When they let me speak first, they knew we was going to start late anyway. So we've already got past that. So when I introduce these people, just acknowledge them, and maybe sometime when you come across them, you can thank them for the work they do. I first want to recognize the Rutherford Town Council, and if you would, please stand or wave your hand or something, let people know who Mayor Pro Tem Mr. Henry Giles, Mr. Terry Cobb is on his way, Stan Clements, and Dr. Doug Sheets, and Christy Baer. We appreciate what the work she did for us in the past. All these people had a part in the reason how we got here. So thank you to all those people. Also, I want to recognize some county people that's here with us. Mr. David Hunt, who is a new county commissioner. Dave, thank you for being with us. David's father served on our council for several years, so we know how important it is in your family. And your mom is it has been a vital, important part of Kids Senses, so we appreciate all your family's help in our community, so thank you. And we could not get past that. We have a great relationship in our whole community, whether it be the county, but also the mayors in this county that we are part of. There's Mr. Terry Cobb just got here, so I didn't know right there. The other part of our council, thank you, Terry. But I want to introduce some mayors that are visiting today. We thank them for being a part of a community in which we live in and a relationship that we have. First is Carol Pritchett, who is the mayor of Lake Lure. Just stand up there a second, Carol. Stand up. Let them know who you are. Now, Carol and I serve on a couple committees statewide. That's important that we keep our county important to the county, the whole state. So I appreciate working with you on those, Carol. Okay. Next is Peter O'Leary's supposed to be here. He's late, but I don't think he's here yet. Mickey Bland. Mickey, stand up right there. Great. Now, Mickey and I go back a long ways, and I'll tell this on Mickey. Mickey, every time I get to introduce Mickey, I always have to tell that he is our senior mayor in our community. He's been there longer than we have. Now, that doesn't entail any extra things, but when we do meet for dinner, we always let Mickey go first. So Mickey, good to have you with us. If you haven't been over there yet, go and look at the work that they're doing on Main Street in Spindale. What a great project you got going over there. And Mickey, congratulations on that. And next, probably the most challenging part I've had so far is to introduce our new president of Isothermal Community College, Margaret Anunyazetti, or something like that. Now, Margaret, I have to tell this story on you. We were in a meeting just the other day, and she gave everybody permission in that meeting to call her Margaret. So she will not be insulted if you go and speak to her and call her by Margaret. And one other story, when we first met, you had told me a story that she first found out that she got accepted in her new position, and she was coming to our area, and she saw the name of our town, and she was telling her family about the new town and this and that. And I think it was your son came up to you and says, "Mom, I don't think I can pronounce that." So we got something in common. So it's good to have you in our community. Now I'd like to thank some people personally that's had some roots in this project from the very beginning. This property was given to Kiwanis several years ago by two families, the late Viola Young and the late Dr. William and Peggy McBreer. Viola, David, if you know, Viola is, when she was a teacher down at Russell Elementary, she brought her class up to the courthouse, and they're the ones responsible for planting that huge tree in the front. So Viola was more than giving to our whole community. And Dr. McBrayer, his office used to be right across the street here, where they had office there. And Bill, you're here, Bill. Thank you, the son. Thank you for your family, what they did in giving that property to Kiwanis, and then Kiwanis in turn gave the property to the town, and you see what all that has led to. So we appreciate all those people that started out to begin with. You'll hear a little bit more about this a little bit later, but we want to thank the Rutherford Kiwanis Club, who was in the middle of that property going all the way from them up to the town, but you'll hear more from them a little bit later. We also want to remember Emery Cersei and Belinda Ruff. They were responsible in getting us a property that you see this located on right now. It was a final piece of the pie that we had to start with that really finished out this park and made it possible. So we thank them. Also, a lot of people gave funds to do special projects within this park. And we want to thank the Abrams family and remembering Marshall. Doug may be talking about that a little bit later, but over in the dog park, that will be finished at a later time. But we thank the Abrams family for remembering Marshall in that way and assisting this town in this park. Also, the Scudlaric family who helped us with the bridge. Be sure and make note of the beautiful bridge down there. The Scudlaric family did that in memory of Dr. John Scudlaric, who was a very prominent doctor in this community. And so we thank the Scudlaric family of what they did for us in that. Also, in memory of the family of Scott Denning, we thank them in his memory. And I want to recognize the Rutherford Parks and Recreation Committee. If you're a part of that committee, would you please stand? If you're standing, wave your hand so we'll know. They're all around here somewhere. But those people do a lot of work in making plans for this park. You will hear a little bit more about this later from some people from the state, but when people go to do projects like this, it is almost impossible for small communities like this to carry on big projects like this without the help of a lot of partners, and especially from our state. And whenever the state comes to visit and looks at these projects and tries to see exactly the value that they will give to community, one of the biggest things that they look at and they ask us is what participation is the community doing to the success of this project. You are the reasons that we had success on this. Whether you gave $10 or you gave $10,000 or more, take pride in what you see around you. You had a part in making this possible. So thank each and every one of you that's made this day come forward, and we thank our partners from the state, and you're going to hear about a lot of the other partners around here. I have left two people off on purpose because I wanted to say a special thank you to them. Keith Ward, raise your hand there. Keith Ward and all of his people you see around us is part of the Public Works Department. They take care of all the services in this town, but yet whenever we have projects going on, they find time to come into a park like this and do work and continue to do work as we work on projects. But we have such excellent people in those departments and such skilled people that they do excellent work, and we thank them for what they do. And Keith, I know a lot of them are hearing me, but you take that back to everybody and tell them how much we certainly do appreciate that, okay? Jackson, won't you come up here a second? I want you to tell these people what's your name.
Jackson.
And what is your last name?
Jackson Holtzclaw.
And how old are you? Tell them how old you are.
3.
He's 3. This is a reason that you and I build parks like this. It's for children, young people, and families to come out and be a part of a day and experience they can live with their family and friends. But people like this thank each and every one of you. Now I want to thank a person that I truly believe projects like this would not be possible, our future projects would not be possible without the leadership of our town manager. Would you help me welcome and thank Rutherford's town manager, Doug Berry.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to be among friends today. When we set out as a community to build projects like this, that's our intention, is to build friends, to build relationships, to see kids like Jackson at age 3 meet each other on the playground, to see parents meet each other, to see older folks of our community that are out walking in the mornings, to build a bond between each other. Because what creates a community is the unity between each other. It's the strength of our relationships, and they start in places just like this. But what started this park were the relationships that were built in this community, like the mayor said. Our bond between each other, whether you know it or not, each one of you sitting in these chairs today have contributed either your time and talents, your funds, or your relationships to the success of this park, but it's really the success of this community. It's about how we together move forward to be stronger with our social connections and our emotional connections as a town. We can have a great police department. We can have a wonderful fire department like we do, and we thank our public service. We have a wonderful public works department, and Keith and his guys, you'll hear their name recognized many times over today. But without the relationships that we build together as a community, we fail ourselves. When we don't move ourselves away from the back of a screen on a phone and our Facebook relationships into a true relationship as a community, we fail ourselves. And that's the hope that this park gives. It gives us the hope that we meet people, that we have a stronger bond. It gives us a place to connect. Especially as we come out of COVID, it gives us the ability to gather again. It gives us the ability to enjoy new things. We called this pandemic park inside City Hall because, y'all, it wasn't just the pandemic that held us back. It was the rain. Every obstacle that you could think of that we faced in the last 12 months when we created this facility, we faced. But we stand here today stronger and more resilient as a community, not just because of the people that were behind it, because the relationships that were there to make this community move forward. So my hope is that this park gives hope, unity, and strength to our community to build relationships so that we are stronger when we move to that next project. And I just want to say thank you to each one of you that's sitting out here. Like the mayor said, it's going to be hard for me to go down this list that I have. And normally I don't need a list. Normally I'm pretty good with trying to keep up with everybody that's given and been a part of things. But y'all, we need a list today. And so I've actually added names to it as we sit here. But Before I get started in that list, there's a few of my peers that I know are watching online and watching out there and out here with us. Scott Weber over in Spindale. Scott, thank you for being here. You see this information about Rutherford Bound and the tent. If you don't know anything about that, I'm sure Don and Willard are going to fill you in from this podium in a minute. But it's projects that we're working on in our communities. I know Steve Garrison is watching online and was not able to find parking, and I guess parking is always a problem, right? So Steve, thank you for watching online. But I know that it's those relationships with our fellow managers like Shannon Baldwin, who's here from Lake Lure, and Scott Weber, and Steve Garrison. I know Janet Mason's probably watching online from Forest City. The strength that we have together to move projects with the help of Rutherford Bound is going to really transform our community. So with that, I want to kind of go over a list of folks that really allowed us as a community to make this park a reality. And I'm going to start from the bottom up because our last donor was the one that took all of these donors' monies and made them even more so. Right across the way, many of y'all are familiar with what we call the hut, the Boy Scout hut. Troop 132, through spaghetti dinners and fundraising on the street, donated to this project. Our Rutherfordton Town Council, Broad River Water Authority has helped us with infrastructure, has helped us with funding, and we want to thank Broad River Water Authority. Matter of fact, they were here earlier today helping with some infrastructure over on the dog park that we'll talk about more in a minute. Rutherford Town Rising, our downtown organization, who sacrificed funding that they had in 2020 during a pandemic year to invest in this park. The Rutherford Women's League. I saw Ashley and some of the ladies earlier. They had hosted many events and hosted at least one, if not two, runs over the years to give to this project, and were one of the first to present funds that allowed us to begin snowballing that effort into more investment. The Recreation Trust Fund. I know I see some board members from our Rutherford Recreation Trust Fund here. RHI Legacy Foundation, who's not only helped us with this project, but I want to pause for a minute and celebrate another milestone. Yesterday, the paving was completed on our Purple Martin Greenway in our downtown section. Over 5 years ago, there was a vision that was cast to connect Crestview Park in the southern part of our community to Kiwanis Park in the northern part of our community with a 10-foot wide paved greenway. And if you've got time, because we have the weather, you get on this piece of asphalt right here and head south, and you'll find yourself at Crestview Park in a matter of 2.5 miles. To us as a community to be able to get that project done, it was not only the support of other partners, but mainly RHI Legacy Foundation. I want to thank them for investment on the Greenway, but moreover, I want to thank them for their investment here at Kiwanis Park. And last but not least is the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. Many of you maybe have heard it called PARTEF, or just the Recreation Trust Fund. But each one of those donations that you made allowed us to double those funds with a $350,000 commitment for funding from the state of North Carolina. And so I want to thank the state. I know Beth is here from that board, and she'll speak in a little while. But without their investment, we have not been able to take the level of commitment from our local folks and the unity that we built, the partnerships that we had built for this project, to the level that we're at today. So we want to thank the state for that. I also want to thank some of the folks that had a direct hand in the construction and the vision for the park. Destination by Design. I know Eric Woolridge could not be here today, but Matt Powell is here, and I know Matt had a strong hand in the vision. So Matt, in the back, capturing this for us, thank you. I'll introduce them as speakers here in a little while, but Dave Odom, he's around here somewhere, and Vic Knight, who were the construction and design, final design members of this project. Champion Construction Group, Michael and Derek, and I'll introduce them in a minute. But y'all, 2020 was the wettest year on record in Rutherford. Let that sink in. I don't know how long we've been measuring rain, but I'm sure it's been a long time. It was the wettest year. So they fought material delays, they fought labor delays, they fought a pandemic, they fought the wettest year on record. and have created a wonderful masterpiece for us. So thank you, guys. Camp Electric, Olmsted Plumbing, Kearney Landscaping, Jay's Landscaping. I know Jay's here with us. He was responsible for kind of the final design and the grass that you're sitting on today. But I also want to thank our Rutherton Public Works. Guys, I know you're back there. If you would, please come up to the front. We're going to wait a minute for each one of you to walk up right here. While we're waiting on them to come up, Artifactoring, Jen is here from Artifactoring, who's helped us with a lot of our graphic designs and some of the layouts you see in the park. And Night Owl Ironworks, right? Jordan is here from Night Owl Ironworks. He's responsible for the beautiful railings that you see with the R's cut in a lot of our kiosks. So Jordan, thank you for your work and your talents towards the park. As these guys walk up here, they're really our humble heroes, the ones that we don't celebrate enough. They're the ones that we get to thank in the mornings when our trash gets picked up, when our toilet flushes successfully, when our car doesn't rattle because of the potholes. But like the mayor said, they're the ones that we call on when we have projects like this, to not just maintain them, but to create them. We talked about our Purple Martin Greenway. This team of guys that you see represented here, they single-handedly, as a team, fabricated, designed, and built all of the bridges that you see here in the park and the bridges along the Greenway. They graded the Greenway, and they have been responsible for all of the improvements you've seen from a Parks and Rec standpoint in our community over the last 5 years. We don't have a Parks and Rec department. You're looking at it. So guys, for what you do for our community, for the things that we don't see that happen every day seamlessly, and for the things that we do see, we thank you. We are still fundraising for phase 2, and I want to take a minute just to talk about phase 2 of this project. It is not phase 2. We'll call it phase 1.A is our dog park, which will be right across the second bridge down here to my left, your right. There will be 2 dog parks, a large dog park and a small dog park. And I want to thank the Abrams family. I thank Lonnie for being here today. See, Lonnie was Marshall's dog, and she's here joining us today. But we will celebrate that grand opening on the first weekend of April, and we want to thank you and your family for making that a reality. That part is fully funded thanks to their donation, and again, we'll open that in April. We are still looking at another bathroom structure across the way so that we can help support the playground. The playground has been a busy place. And also another pavilion across where the other parking area is on 7th Street, and some miscellaneous furniture improvements and additional play structures around the playground. And so Dawn will speak more about Rutherford Bound and how you can give, but we are still looking for funding for phase 2, and we anticipate that coming in just like we did for phase 1. And then the future of our Greenway project will go north from here. We're at 2.5 miles now. The next half mile will be delayed because of the construction of 221 and the bypass. But from this location north, and the next half-mile phase will connect to the Thermal Belt Rail Trail in the town of Ruth with a partnership with the state of North Carolina and the Department of Transportation. So we're excited about that. So with that, I have the distinct honor of being your Master of Ceremonies. I'm sure I'll have a few more things to say, and being the Master of Ceremonies allows me to sneak a few things in here and there. But I'd like to introduce Dan Hageman, who's the president this year of the Rutherton Kiwanis Club. Like the mayor said, the Kiwanis Club has been on this project since day one. They were instrumental in the donation of this property from the Young family and from the McBrayer family. They put the sweat equity in to make that happen, and have been excellent partners in our fundraising campaign for our bricks. And so, Dan, I hope you're making your way up. Oh, you're behind me. He's sneaking up on me. So without further ado, Dan Hageman.
Isn't it great to be in a place like Rutherfordton where spring comes in February? What a beautiful day. You know, Kiwanis Park, we've heard a lot about the successes and the reasons for the successes, and it's really a pretty simple formula. This is the result of over 25 years of efforts beginning in about the middle of 1994. It has to do with the generosity of our two local families, the McBrares and Miss Young. The municipal businesses, the business, and the community collaborations and partnerships, and a common vision and a focused effort, and that's what brings us here. You know, Kiwanis Park forms a focal point, a crossroad in our community. It's a crossroad of local, state, and national world history. You are sitting on the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail. Yes, this is a 330-mile trail that comes out of Tennessee and Georgia, down through North Carolina, right across this field, and along Cleghorn Creek to Kings Mountain. On the other side of the food truck is Southern Street. And in 1780, the Overmountain men marched down that path of Southern Street through Kiwanis Park along Cleghorn Creek on their way to defeat the British troops at Kings Mountain, who could have otherwise reinforced Lord Cornwallis, who instead 1 year later had to surrender to George Washington, bringing an end to the Revolutionary War and a beginning to the United States of America. Cleghorn Creek is also the pathway of our Purple Martin Trail, as Doug pointed out, connecting Crestview Park, two wonderful places for families to gather and connected in more ways than one. We're very pleased as the Kiwanis Club of Rutherfordton to have the name Kiwanis tied to the park. You know, Kiwanis is all about kids. Our slogan is serving the children of the world. And Rutherford Kiwanis is part of a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. Our local club supports sports, they support scouts, camp scholarships, Kids Senses Interactive Children's Museum, the Marine Corps JROTC at the high school, Habitat for Humanity, school and public libraries, bike helmets for 8-year-olds, dictionaries for 3rd graders, and the list just goes on. And we do that through our fundraising. Part of our fundraising activities, if you've been on the other side of the pavilion today or recently, you'll see the brick pathway and you'll see the engraved bricks. We're selling engraved bricks that you can buy as a memorial for a loved one or to represent anything you want, a business, anything. If you go on our Facebook page, Rutherfordton Kiwanis, you can find out how to buy a brick for yourself. You can buy a brick for the walk, or you can buy a commemorative brick for your home and help us raise funds for the community. In 3 more years, Rutherfordton Kiwanis will celebrate 100 years as a club in this community. And we offer membership to anyone who takes an interest in the success of our community and understands that kids need Kiwanis. Because not only is history full of crossroads and different paths to take, but every life, including Jackson's, is going to have crossroads in it, and Kiwanis wants to be there to help guide the way. Enjoy this afternoon.
Thank you, Dan. I'd imagine if I put myself in the next speaker's shoes, one of the things I would like to see when I evaluate projects like this is how much community effort has gone into making this happen, but also how is the community going to respond? And last night I was here about 7 o'clock making sure that things were done right and that our kind of final touches were here. There was a set of families playing on that playground that you see over there, just like we experience right now. And until the darkness made them go home, they were there. And as I walked away from that, there were 2 families sitting up here, and I'd introduced myself to them. They didn't know each other, but they had bought takeout from our downtown restaurants and were sitting here having a family picnic. I introduced the 2 families, and hopefully they'll be back again for another picnic. But I think it's little successes like that that the North Carolina Parks and Recreation Trust Fund looks for in projects. And so we're honored today to have Beth Howell from the Trust Fund Board to be with us. And so Beth, thank you for your commitment to this project and for your service to our state.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. As Doug said, my name is Beth Hiley, and I am a member of the Parks and Rec Trust Fund. We're a group of 9 volunteers across the state who every year, I don't know if it's the privilege or the stress or it's something, grading all these projects every year. My first meeting with the Park Board was August 2019, and that was the first time that I was judging projects, and yours was a part of them. First, I want to thank you for making it so easy. You may not all realize what goes into that, but I'll tell you 3 things that you did right that made my job a lot easier. One was planning, and so I want to appreciate and thank council folks, commissioners, whoever it is that gets the big picture that you need master planning, and you guys have it all. You have a master park plan, you have a greenway plan, you have a tourism plan. Golly, you must plan all week long of when you're going to plan again, but that makes it worthwhile, and I've seen that firsthand. You know where you're going, you know what's going to happen next, and that makes a difference. The other thing is this park is in a location of connecting trails and greenways with the Over Mountain Victory Trail, connecting to the other park on the other side of town. That makes a difference that you're connecting, that we're not all having to drive to this park, that we can walk to one place to the other. The other thing that made a big difference is also the community investment. My first exposure to Pardiff was a volunteer. I came from Valdez, and I started working there as a volunteer to try to get us a park. And I saw raising money from the community, what a match from the state could do for us. I mean, everybody's dollars were doubled. It was fantastic. So I appreciate that effort, that it was in your application, that how many people were involved, how many stakeholders you had, helping, and I need this, we need that, this is going to make our community better. So thanks for the time to do that. I guess 2 other big thank yous. I appreciate you taking the time to put in a Pardiff application. They're not easy. Judy Francis is here. She helps you guys on the front end of how to do all the paperwork, but it's really worth the investment. And then secondly, thank you for being good stewards of the money, from the state's money and your donors' money, and turning this project around so quickly. And so lastly, I just want to close by saying thank you. Thank you for understanding that parks and greenways are important and providing that to your community. So have a great day.
In a few short weeks, we'll get to celebrate alongside this person for another hat that he wears. And Willard, as you walk up, I want to introduce Willard Whitson. He and I have a joke going on between each other that he and I are in the STP Club, which is the same 10 people, and we'd love to see more faces in that. We had a joke going on for a couple years that we would drive by a building in town, and if we saw each other's vehicle, we knew we were probably missing somewhere that we were supposed to be. We were missing whatever meeting that we were holding a hat for at that time. Willard does serve many roles in our community. He serves as our TDA director. He serves as our Kid Census director. He serves on our RTR, Rutherford Town Rising Board, and I'm sure I'm missing a whole slew of others. But today he's here in his role as the Rutherford County Tourism Director Chairman. And so, Willard, thank you.
Thank you, Doc. I think Don Kaysen, who actually is the director of the TDA, thought you were firing him. So,
That's okay.
Anyway, I'm going to ask you a question that has not been asked in this area for a long time. Is it hot enough for you? Okay, I had to do it. So Johnny Carson nod. All right. To achieve the remarkable accomplishment, which is the renovation, expansion, enhancements to Kiwanis Park, requires what I like to call the 3 Ps. First, you have to have passion. And that passion is underpinned by a vision. It's underpinned by a purpose. It's underpinned by a need. And folks who have just been speaking far more eloquently than I have talked about the goals of this, which is to engage families, to make them feel that they have a rich resource, to help them find friends, to help them find fun, to help them find richness in life. So that passion requires the other two P's in order to achieve results. And the second one is patience. And any of you, whether you've built a house or tried to get your child through school, patience, or toilet trained your child. Patience is a virtue, it's a necessity, and a project like this requires the collective patience of everyone involved, from funders to contractors to citizens to the organizations that have been heralded here. It takes patience. As Doug mentioned, I'm director of Kid Senses Children's Museum. It's at the other end of town and linked by the Purple Martin Trail and what I like to call the cultural nature corridor that we have here. And as we expand the museum, I am heartened by the patience that it took to create Kid Senses Museum in the first place. I'm heartened by the passion that Kiwanis and the town of Rutherfordton brought to this project and had to sustain the effort over time without ever having the certainty that you're going to achieve your goals. And that brings me to the third P, which is perseverance. You've got to pursue it. If you believe it, you've got to do it, and you've got to have faith. Which brings me to the three C's. You're not going to achieve any of these goals without collaboration, without, as we say at Kid Senses, playing well together. You've got to have cooperation. Everybody has to sacrifice and their own personal goals in order to achieve the collective goals. And you've got to have cohesion. I've seen many, many projects fail because you didn't have cohesion. You didn't have everybody adhering to the first two C's. And most importantly, what this project, Kid Senses, and collectively all of the many initiatives that are being supported by the communities throughout this county, Kiwanis Park being one of them, is a reflection of a spirit that we have here. And communities can stagnate, and we know we've felt and experienced many challenges financially, most recently, of course, the COVID pandemic. But I'm going to anger Don Kaysen, who is our inspired and inspiring director of the Tourism Development Authority, and I'm going to steal his most famous line, which is the option of doing nothing is not an option. So I'm sure you're going to repeat that again in your remarks, so I don't feel too bad about it. But that's just it. Stagnation is death. Vision supported by passion is the future. So thank you, and congratulations to all of you, because I wouldn't be standing up here boring you if it were not for this effort. So take care.
Thank you, Willard. I don't know if the next group will talk about this, but I spoke a little bit about the importance of having places like parks in my opening comments. It's not just having the park, it's having a park that's designed well and designed in a manner to intentionally create connections. Connections to our past, connections to our future, and connections with our neighbors. If you look on top of this building, you see a cupola. If you look on top of the covered bridge, you see a cupola. Those weren't put there just for show. They were put there to match our history. If you look at the top of the hill at St. John's Church, these cupolas match the cupola right at the top of the hill here at St. John's Church. That was an intentional thought by the designers that put this park together. And I want to introduce that team of Vic Knight and David Odom, the team that actually finished out the master plan and got us into construction. So David, Vic, please join me up here.
Thank you, Doug. So for 50 years, I've driven past this piece of property, and for the first 25 of it, it was a mess. It was just overgrown shrubs, underbrush, and kudzu. Thank goodness the Kiwanis got involved about 25 years ago and made a great improvement, but it's been our great pleasure to be part of this, putting the final stamp on it. I am so proud to drive past this thing and see what used to be an eyesore, but is now a gym. I just want to take a few minutes and thank several groups of people. I want to thank council also. Nothing happens until you guys vote, and I'm so glad you voted the way you did to move this project forward. I want to thank Doug and his team. They've been a pleasure to work with, and I echo his words on the Public Works team. Watching Keith and his guys build those bridges as quickly and as well as they did was just impressive. I want to thank Vic. He's been a pleasure to work with. I often tell people when we work together that we draw rectangles and squares, and he draws Fibonacci spirals. He makes it pretty, and we make it functional. I also want to thank the champions. They've been a pleasure to work with. They've done a great job, but they've been very pleasant to work with too, so I thank them. And then finally, I want to thank members of my team, some of whom are here. I've got Larissa, Jill, and Michael in the back that participated on the project. Thank them as well. Okay.
Well, thanks to Doug and Town Council for allowing Odom Engineering and Champion Construction Group and Knight Strategies to help take this project from the concept plan through to the reality you see here today. Our goal is to take an underutilized piece of property and turn it into a centerpiece and a showcase for downtown Rutherfordton. All of that was to be woven through with a unique history, architectural character, and the beautiful mountain landscape that we're surrounded with in our community. We were tasked with creating pathways, dog park, playground area, this pavilion, and public gathering spaces as part of this project. The playground that you see behind you, some of you played on it, including some of us bigger kids, was designed with a nature play theme to it. Studies have shown that with nature play, it creates a lower stress for kids. It encourages more learning and use of the imagination, which in my line of work is very important. All of that leads to kids being more active and wanting to be outside and play in that environment. Some of the features of that natural playground are utilizing local elements. For example, we have boulders surrounding the playground for kids to climb on, to sit on, to interact with, something that came from nature. We also have locust trees that were harvested from the property, and we were able to save those, and then working with Champion Group, we created stepping logs and balance beams out of the trees that came from the property. All of those helped, again, to encourage kids to get out and be active. As Doug mentioned, from an architectural standpoint, this pavilion that we're sitting underneath and the covered bridge pay homage to St. John's Episcopal Church, located on Main Street here in Rutherfordton, the cupola specifically. Also, the council ring behind us, the brick ring, is a tribute to that Over Mountain Victory Trail that came through the property and played such a significant role in our country's history. So we're very proud of the way that the park has turned out. We look forward to seeing the completion of Phase 1A with a dog park. And we hope that all of you and your family, friends, and dogs will enjoy this park for generations to come. And thank you for allowing us to be a part of it.
Thank you, guys. Told you as the master of ceremonies I could sneak a few things in, and before we introduce another family, I want to thank my family at Town Hall. You know, we all kind of have a work family. Sonia Outling, who's our finance director, who's been doing all the paperwork for Part F and all of those funders that you have heard so much about, and Mara Short, and Magnolia is around here somewhere, Magnolia Long, our fellow. The four of us at Town Hall, thank you so much for your efforts in this. They have been our stalwart of folks that have ensured that I stay on track and that this project stays on track behind the scenes. I'll tell you, it's always nervous when you get a new contractor, somebody you haven't worked with before, somebody that you don't have any experience with that comes from a neighboring county and they haven't done much work in this county. But I'm going to tell you right now, this father-son combination that I'm going to introduce of Michael Champion and Derek Champion, who are your general contractors on this project, have done a phenomenal job. When they talk about family, when they talk about quality, when they talk about building something that you can be proud of for generations to come and for the generations that they've brought with them today, couldn't be more proud to work alongside both of them. So Michael, Derek, please join us up front.
Good afternoon. I'll tell you what, I'm definitely humbled. I know he is to hear everybody speak so highly of us. It's not very often contractors get to stand in front of a group of people like this for an event like this, and I'm honored and humbled to be here today. And what a beautiful day it is to celebrate this opening. It's kind of hard to talk about being delayed by weather when we've got a 70-degree day in February, but I can assure you it has rained a lot. As mentioned, I'm Derek Champion. I'm Vice President of Champion Construction Group. And on behalf of Michael, my dad, and I, and our entire family, I would like to thank everyone who played a part in making this a reality. We consider it a blessing to have been your contractors. I would like to speak to the donors. I do not know who all of them are. We've heard, as you've heard, different names mentioned, but I know there were some larger ones and even smaller ones. I just want you to realize the impact that a project like this has on a community. There's been over 80 individual souls, both men and women, that have physically worked on this project. That's actually putting hands on this soil. And what that means is that that's over 80 families that have been impacted because of construction on this park. That does not include designers and suppliers that have contributed to this. So what that means is for 80 different families, they have benefited in a positive way monetarily to be able to put food on their tables, buy shoes, clothes for kids, whatever that may be. And construction drives a community, and just a project, this is a large project, but no larger than it is, to impact that amount of families, I think is really important. So I thank you for your vision, your generosity, and just your love for the community to make something like this happen. I'd also like to thank our team. We do have an awesome team of subcontractors that we could not do this without them. We're just two faces that are in front of a crowd right now, but it took a large group to make this happen. As we said, 80 people. I also want to thank David Odom and Odom Engineers, Vic Night Strategies. We've done multiple projects with them, and Vic has a way of drawing very pretty things, and we're lucky enough to get to try to build them. So Chris Carney Landscaping and Grading, Jay Harden, Jay's Lawn Service, can't say enough about him. They've just done a phenomenal job of just putting the finishing touches on this. Specialty Concrete, Olmsted Plumbing, Camp Electric, Forest City HVAC, Ford Painting, and I would also like to thank the Rutherford Town, the Public Works workers. We could not have done this without them. They have been a huge help, especially in the final days here, just getting the finishing touches on everything. It's an awesome group of guys, and you guys are lucky to have them. Doug Barrick, prior to this project, like Doug said, we did not know each other, but I'm proud to call him a friend now. We have been able to get maybe a behind-the-scenes look into some of the just operations of how things work, and I just want to speak on behalf of us. You guys are lucky to have him. He really goes to bat for this small town, and just looks for ways to improve it. And I think you guys have got a real treasure in him. Lastly, I just want to thank God and the ability to live and work in such a beautiful place. We're blessed far greater than we could ever deserve. And I want to reiterate what some others said. I ask that we all just respect and preserve what's been created here, just for future generations, as Mr. Dancy had said. So thank you on behalf of everyone. If you want to say anything?
I'd just like to say it was an honor and a privilege to be a part of this project. One thing I cherish the most of it is the relationships and friendships that we have bonded with the mayor and Jackson and his wife Doris coming by for regular inspections. We really enjoyed that, and it was a treat. But also working with Doug and all these other folks, and especially with Keith Ward and the town guys, it's just been great. We've developed some great friendships that I know will last for a long time. Thank you.
The fun part about Champion Construction Group is hopefully some of you have got an invitation, or you'll see a link to an online viewing just like we're doing here today. next month down at Kid Census for their factory program. And these guys are the general contractors for the factory. And so they're not leaving Rutherford, and they're not moving far. Right down the, what'd you call it, Willard, the social and natural corridor of Rutherfordton? Sometimes we may think about ourselves here in Rutherfordton or Rutherford County, and we think maybe folks up on Capitol Hill have forgot about us. I think maybe sometimes we have those thoughts that we don't maybe have friends in high places. I'm here to tell you today that we do have friends in high places. And I want to thank Jordan Barnes, who represents a friend of mine, Tom Tillis, who's our senator. I was here to say a few words. Before Jordan comes up, many of you may not know the connection here, but I actually knew Tom Tillis before he served in any capacity. He was a town council member. Matter of fact, he was a planning board member, then a town council member in the town of Cornelius, where I started my local government experience. And in my office, there's a framed picture in my office that Tom has signed for a project that we were working on in Cornelius about our resiliency and commitment to that project. And so I'm proud to call Tom a friend, and I know he watches out for what's going on here in Western North Carolina. So Jordan, thank you for being with us. I look forward to hearing the senator's comments.
Well, thank you. It's very, very special for me to be here. I know a lot of you, as I look out over the crowd, went to high school with your kids or your grandkids and grew up here in this community in Rutherfordton, and it's very, very special. It's, as the senator's regional representative, it's my job to travel around the state and be where you can. And like Doug said, one of the original public service projects Senator Tillis worked on was on the Greenway, and outdoor projects is very important to Senator Tillis. Now, the folks that are here who know me and my family, I'll go ahead and put everything to rest. Everybody's thinking, how in the world did Jordan Barnes find Tom Tillis and the United States Senate? Because I have family here too, and he's looking at me, so I know he's asking that question. But I found Tom Tillis through a dear friend of mine, Robin Ramsey from Asheville, North Carolina. She is Senator Richard Burr's regional representative. She does a great job, and I appreciate Doug saying that you guys are not forgotten in Western North Carolina. We cover all 20 counties here in Western North Carolina for the senators, and it's an honor of a lifetime. Like Doug said, for 4 years, I drove down 221 going to R Essential every day, and built personal friendships and relationships with folks in this community. And when I came here today, I didn't realize, Ms. Abrams, that part of the project was remembering the life of Marshall. And that's a great way to celebrate Marshall. And I thank you for your partnership and your donors, and thank all the donors. Today's is, you know, we see partners here from the hospital, the community college, Chimney Rock, Spindale, Forest City. These are partnerships that have been needing to come together for a long time, and I think we're all moving in the right direction. And today is a product of that. I remember sitting in Doug's office, and he showed me the blueprints for this project, and I thought, good luck. Today, that idea is a reality. That dream is a reality. And it's reality because of you all. And you're here because you care about your communities. And I know some of Don's sayings have already been stolen, but I'm going to steal the next one and repeat it because everyone needs to hear it. If you got friends and family that are looking to do something outdoors, whether it's on our rail trails or here at the park, tell them what better way to spend time in 70-degree weather than to be Rutherford bound. This project is very, very important. It means a lot. I love traveling around the state for the senator, being at projects and ribbon cuttings and meeting with small business holders and stakeholders in our community. But to do it at home means a lot. And I appreciate you all giving me that opportunity, and I appreciate Doug asking me to come. Thank you. If anyone, whether it's a government agency or an individual, if you have a problem or an issue with the federal government, please let Robin or myself know. And it's the honor of a lifetime to serve you. Thank you, and God bless you, and be safe.
Well, Don Kaysen, you must get around. Because one of the sayings that I thought you were famous for was heads in beds, butts in seats, and feet on the streets. And we haven't talked about that saying. So, Don Kaysen, as you make your way up to the podium, and Don is the executive director of the Rutherford County Tourism Development Authority, not the president, he is the executive director. And I want to start a new saying, which is sit, stay, meet, share, repeat. And that's what this park's about. But Don, as you make your way up, you have single-handedly cast a vision for our community that has energized leadership, has energized elected officials, has energized nonprofits, and has energized foundations to give to projects just like this. So Don, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Doug. Town of Rutherfordton, it's a pleasure to be here today. I'm excited to be here and represent the Rutherford County Tourism Development Authority. On behalf of my TDA board, it's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of this celebration that we have going on here in Rutherford County. And you've heard a lot of comments today about collaboration and working together and giving back to the community. Well, that is what the TDA is about. Yes, it's our job, as Doug says, put heads in beds, butts in seats, and feet on the street. It is our job to do that. But it's also our job to work with our community and make sure our community is developed and working together. And we are, and I'm going to tell you here in a couple of minutes, that we are putting things back into our community, and we're so excited about where that is. But we would not be able to do what we do without you, the citizens of Rutherford County and Rutherfordton. So to share with you, Rutherford Bound. You see Rutherford Bound all around today. And like Doug had mentioned, Rutherford Bound is a county-wide, I emphasize, a county-wide tourism and community asset development plan. A little over 3 years ago, county leaders, our TDA board, kudos to our TDA board, unbelievable vision and passion for taking a look at the county, but our Tourism Advisory Committee, which is made up of many leaders in our county, and I'm sitting here looking at a number of them, all of our county mayors. Our county mayor was involved, but also the town mayors. Your Mayor Dancy and Doug Barrett, the town managers, they were all involved. Spindale, we got the mayors from Spindale here, Lake Lure was there, all of our towns, and the leaders came together. RHI Legacy with Terry Himes, our college, Walter Dalton, who is now, but I know I can say Margaret, and say that freely, but Margaret is going to be a part of that. But there are community leaders that came together over 3 years ago and focused on a county-wide plan. And projects like Kiwanis Park fit into that. Because as you see, as another saying, you'll see when you build a better place to live, work, and play, you build a place people want to visit. And that's what we're here today. Kiwanis Park is a definite place that people are going to want to visit, but it's a community asset that we will be able to cherish, and all of our citizens can come together. And this is an asset value for Rutherfordton and the entire county, but it will create a quality of life for each and every one of our citizens. And that's what Rutherford Bound is about. I want you to be able to go to rutherfordbound.com. If you want to find out more information about what's going on in the county, you go to rutherfordbound.com. And you will see all of the different projects that are going on and what's going on, and you will be able to see and make pledges. You can go online, go to that website, and make donations to any specific project that we have going on in the communities. And you can go and make a specific donation, and every dollar given goes to the projects. The TDA is doing the administration and putting all that together, but all the dollars that are donated and given to, whether it's the Kiwanis Park or the dog park or any of those different projects that you see going on, every dollar will be given. And we're going to be here for a number of years, because when I say Rutherford Bound is here, we're going to continue to focus in many years to come, 5 years, 15 years. And the more we can get the citizens involved, we will be able to speed the process up and give the funding and enhance our quality of life with many projects. All of our towns, Rutherfordton, as you know, is working on their Phase 2 and Phase 3 projects now. We're visioning those projects because the option of doing nothing is not an option. We are going to do it. We're going to focus and do that. So I'm excited about where the county is going. And the TDA, personally, our board votes every year to give money. The Oxy tax that comes in, we are able to allocate 1/3 of the funding back into our communities. And that my board, the TDA board, has authorized 1/3, maximize our dollars to put back into communities. And they go into projects like this. So we've got a ribbon cutting coming up in Lake Lure in May. We've got we just had a groundbreaking in Chimney Rock in January. We'll have a ribbon cutting there in Chimney Rock probably in June. And we've got the factory ribbon cutting is or groundbreaking is going to be next month. And then we got paddle trails coming up over the summer. And those are all Phase 1 projects. Phase 2, Phase 3 in the future is all about Rutherford Bound, so please go there and look and be a part. And thank your elected officials, because without all the Rutherford Town Councils voting and all of the county elected officials voting and being a part of what's going on, it would not be possible. So thank y'all so much, and we look forward to many more projects to come through Rutherford Bound and through your communities. Thank y'all.
Like Don said, you can still give, and I know most of you have not bought your sunscreen yet, and so you're going to have a sunburn. You're welcome, and if you want to spend money on a sunscreen, it's going to rain for the next 5 or 6 days. We'll be glad to take your money back here at the Rutherford Bound booth. Just invest it into something more for our community. I thank you for your patience. I remind you that we started at 1:15 and it's 2:15 now. Now I'm going to ask you for your participation. Each one of you have played a vital role in this park. I know that maybe we left somebody out. Hopefully we haven't. I've tried to scan the crowd as we're here today. And for those that are watching online, thank you. I hope you're sharing this with your friends and inviting your family and friends to come be a part of what's going on here in Rutherfordton, to see what's going on with our friends in Spindale, to visit our friends in Chimney Rock and Lake Lure, to visit our friends in Forest City and Bostic, to see everything that's going on in this great county. But now it's time for each one of you to stand up and come be a part of our ribbon cutting ceremony. If for some reason you forgot who we mentioned or all of the families, when we finish up, on the front of this building is a plaque to forever memorialize and thank and honor those people that gave and people that committed to this project. And so I ask you to spend some time looking at that. But now, if I can get your help, and Sonia and Mara are back here with masks. If you don't have a mask, we would love for everybody to gather around, whether it be on this upper platform here where David and Vic are, or on this lower set of stairs. But we are going to stretch a red ribbon across the front here, and we are going to get Jonah Engel, who represents our future, one of the youth of our community, to cut our ribbon here for us at Kiwanis Park. So, nobody tell Jackson, but if he wasn't asleep, we would have got him to do it. So Jonah, come on up, buddy. Again, make your way up. Gather all around here. If you don't have a mask, see Sonia, see Mara. We'll be glad to get you a mask. We want everybody to be a part of this opportunity to celebrate the future. Our fine folks at Rutherford Fire Department, Police Department, Public Works, I'm calling you guys out too. Let's go. Come on up.
Here with the squad, everybody trying to go, yeah, the party jumping off, hey, we putting on a show, trying to catch a vibe, we do this every time, like, na 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 na, feeling like I'm on the highway, cause everything been going my way, and now they looking at me sideways, I'm like, na 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 na, this is where I wanna be, na na na, never ever gonna leave. This is where I wanna stay, nah, nah, nah. I could do this every day, nah, nah, nah. It don't matter what they say, I'm like, nah, 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 nah. Say, hey, I've been on the wave, it's a party, make a toast, it's a party every day. So anywhere you go, all across the coast, we do it every time, like, nah, 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 nah. I got nothing but the highlights. Can't believe that this is my life. I'm only living on the bright side. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. This is where I wanna be, nah, nah, nah. Never ever gonna leave, nah, nah, nah. You ain't gonna get it from me. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. This is where I wanna stay, nah, nah, nah. I could do this every day, nah, nah, nah. It don't matter what they say. I'm like, nah, 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 nah. You better know we ain't never going home. Ain't never never going home. Ain't never going home.